right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the comprehensive yet informal study. Let me just make sure it's yes. Okay, it's picking me up. Uh, of Kant's Critique of Pure Reason. I'm here with Kirk today. We're covering the Refutation of Idealism section. This is something we've been looking forward to. Couldn't get a hold of Pat. I'll text him like actually right now, really quickly, because I mean, if you've been following the series, you'll know Pat has been around, and he was particularly. Hang on, I'm just gonna tell him. Hey, we are covering the refutation of idealism at long last. If you're around, we'd love to have you join us again for this, especially for this long anticipated section. Hope you're well. And we do hope Pat is well. He's been pretty critical as we were starting, especially when I started the series. If you have been following it, you could probably tell that, Pat was kind of the main driver. I mean, I organized it practically and logistically, but Pat, in terms of the content and the philosophy, was really strong, really bringing lots of the explanations and summarizations and just connections in the history of philosophy and all that good stuff. So um, we do miss him and hope he's around. I'll keep an eye on my phone and maybe he'll hop in. Um, but we'll see what he's been sort of MIA, just not really responding. So we hope he's okay. Anyway, so getting to the content now. Systematic representation, all state principles. We've been applying the principles um, of the understanding and the way the thing's basically gone over in the deduction as well as the transcendental schema. Actually, the transcendental schema might have been part of this section. I can't really remember, but basically, like the content of the deduction and the things he was telling us about in terms of apperception uniting the manifold through uh, the understanding. That whole process, we've been looking over the principles of that and how that works. Specifically, in lately, we've been going over it in terms of empirical experience, um, and all of the things that I mean, maybe not all, but I mean, all of the things that Kant deems relevant to tell us about those principles and how that works. So, if you're interested in and you don't know what I'm talking about and you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to go see. But now we've come to the refutation of idealism because last time Kant was saying that in terms of perception, for something to exist, needs to either be directly perceived or follow the analogies of perception, or the analogies of experience, which is he also, what does he else does he call them? The principles of empirical connection, something like that. So, um, which are a priori, but dependent upon given material. We can't really just make things exist out of our minds, maybe like something like idealism might posit. So we're going to deal with that now, right? The powerful objection against these rules for proving existence, which Kant. Well, what are the rules for proving existence? Is what I was just telling you about. The either just perceiving something or having it follow the analogies of experience. Which this is what I'll be reviewing really quick. Substance, um, causal relation, causality, and simultaneity. It exists simultaneous to something else as a substance. So that's all previous as well. Check out just the other things, installments, just to get to where we are here. But that's just some quick review for myself as well. Now we're the refutation of idealism, which is really interesting. Bringing up Descartes, bringing up Berkeley. So, yeah, dogmatic idealism, big philosophical charge being accused there, being thrown around by Kant. So, yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Kirk, are you ready as well?
Oh, I am.
Perfect. Can you see this? And are you able to read, or is Discord
Uh,
giving us that problem?
could you read?
Yeah, I can read. Sorry, it's being problematic.
What do you say?
I said yes, I can read. Sorry, it's being problematic. Okay. So here we go. Refutation of idealism. Actually, the endnotes have been kind of interesting. So maybe let's start with that. I'll go into my hard copy I have right next to me here, just in case we run into some things like this. Let's see what this footnote number 83 is saying. This is page 326. So let's look at footnotes. So 320. Here we go. So it would be an 80. What is it? 82? 83. 83. Okay. I just found it. Let's see. Kant was obviously dissatisfied with this new section of the second edition. For in addition to the modification of the argument already suggested in the preface, numerous sketches of the argument from the years after publication of the second edition also survive. These include from late in 1788, something R5653 through 4, which I don't know what that refers to, and another related work also coded in that R schema, R655. If anybody doesn't know what that means, there you go. Uh, and from 1790, apparently written in conjunction with a visit from Kant's disciple J.G.C. Kiesewetter. Other relevant notes include other things. From the period prior to the publication of the first edition of the Critique, two interesting notes are... Okay, so it seems like Kant, basically the gist from this footnote, 83, or endnote, rather, because it's the end of the book. Otherwise, I would just scroll down and we'd see it like A and B are the footnotes, but the numbers are the endnotes. According to this endnote, Kant is not satisfied with the argument we're about to go into and has changed it since. Really interesting. Yeah. I mean, there's no A edition to compare it to, so it's not like we can do it that directly and just go back and forth. It's in just other writings completely outside of this text, so I'm not going to really go into that right now. Something to keep in mind maybe just for the future to look at. Something interesting, but yeah, I wonder why. I don't know. I know this is a very famous section. Again, it's one of the reasons we've been excited to get to it, so... but maybe part of its fame or infamy is because maybe I don't know, it doesn't hold up to some standards. So I don't know. Let's get into it. Okay, idealism. I mean material idealism is the theory that declares the existence of objects in space outside of us to be either merely doubtful and indemonstrable or indemonstrable, however people like to say that word, or else false and impossible. The former is the problematic idealism of Descartes. Okay, so the problematic idealism of Descartes, right? Classic Descartes in the Meditations, if you've read that, and there's a good chance you have if you're reading Kant this in depth with us. It's right that the outside world might not exist. It could just be the result of a demon, and he's in control of the truth, and he's giving us the false instead of giving us the true
Is a
world
demon in
and
your
perception.
mind?
What's that?
Well, what if the demon's also in your mind?
Well, he gets there too, but because this is actually the significance of the cogito for Descartes. Because he can doubt that he is like having true perceptions or even true thoughts, he concludes that he exists, at least in his mind, because he can think that. So like, I think therefore I am, right? So he kind of draws this epistemological safety net in thinking. So perception doesn't have such a safety net, so to speak. Just using my own language, pulling out of my ass here in Descartes. So Descartes thinking remains safe, but the outside world remains doubtful until toward the end of the Meditations, where he brings in God and gets into the Cartesian circle and all that stuff. So and Kant calls that problematic, right? So it's the problematic idealism of Descartes. But not even just for the God stuff that allows us certain knowledge of the outside world, but even doubting or in having the external world be indemonstrable, right? Is just problematic for Kant. Okay, so that's his treatment of Descartes. Did that answer your question, Kirk? Hope it did. Okay, moving on. Who declares only one empirical assertion, namely "I am," to be the indubitable? So that's interesting, right? Because Kant, I mean, we've covered this before, especially in the um, B deduction, in the transcendental deduction, the B edition that we went over. Um, I am is empirical, right? The only transcendental a priori element of subjectivity for Kant is the I think. It's just the unifying act, I think. Um, but this doesn't secure existence for Kant. I mean, especially as we've seen, his stuff for existence in the previous section from last time. Um, only but the I am is empirical, right? There's an empirical self for Kant as well as a transcendental self. He makes that distinction. The empirical is sort of like the result of inner sense, right? It's sort of the I think what, if I'm interpreting Kant correctly, what most people probably just every day, like right? You prefer yourself. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. In the empirical world, right? Like I'm hungry. I don't know, want Bugatti. You know what I mean? I don't know. Just whatever. The I in that sense, I think is what he's and Descartes was doubting that, right? Descartes like, how do I even know I exist? And he comes to the cogito, right? After many like interesting arguments and meditations, it comes to the I am. But Descartes doesn't think the I am is empirical. He thinks it's thinking substance. I am. Well, he sort of like thinks actually the thinking substance proves his existence in the world. But Kant says no. That's empirical, and that doesn't follow from the I think. At least not in the direct way that Descartes is thinking. And if you want to see more about that, you can go back to the B deduction, and we'll actually cover
Um,
more of the A deduction later on. I think. What's up, Kirk?
so I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious. What exactly is the Does the Cartesian view say that like, so it's cogito ergo sum? I think, therefore I am.
Mm-hmm.
Then like, how does Descartes affirm the existence, or is it compatible with Cartesian ideas about like being sure about yourself with the posit the existence of like a, you could say, a transcendental subject?
Uh, Descartes doesn't posit a transcendental subject.
But would it be compatible with Descartes' like cogito
Well,
argument?
no, that's kind of what Kant explained, and I know you weren't around for when we covered the B deduction, Kirk. But he taught Kant distinctly talks about how the act of thinking is different from existence. Um, Thinking just unifies, right? Um, it
Wait, was I
unifies the
here for the
manifold.
was
What's
I
that?
here for the deduction?
I don't think so.
I've been
Maybe
here for
the
the
end of
past
it.
I've been here for the past like couple months or so. I mean, I'm not certain, but I may have been here for deduction.
Do you remember when he? Well, then do you remember when he was talking about the difference between the I think and the I am?
I don't know. I mean, I don't exactly. My memory doesn't generally go to that like specific detail. So
Sure.
perhaps
Yeah.
not.
So basically, what Kant, he makes the distinction that the thinking is just a rule. The I think it's just a rule that unifies. Essentially, is like for at least for the relevance here. I mean, there's more detail in the deduction, and we can go back maybe another time off camera and review that, or maybe during the stream later or something. But um, the short end of it is that Kant says the I think is just something that unifies through thought spontaneously. It does not um, lead to a existence. Existence has to have a given component, right? He was just going over that last time, right? When he's talking about existence for something actual, it has to be determined in time. We do not really the I think on the level of I think we don't determine that in time. That is separate from time. That's something of the understanding, right? The understanding doesn't have uh, any intuitive element to it. So there's an inner sense of the self, right? The form of time, and after that gets unified, um, along with the rest of the manifold through the understanding, then we gain like this sort of like empirical self. At least that's my understanding of it.
I
But
see. So,
the
but basically, he's saying that Descartes like missing out about that.
I mean, yeah, he's saying Descartes is saying, okay, so the same subject that is thinking is existing, and Kant is saying those are two different like people, like metaphysically speaking, I guess, two different people. The I think is like not even like a substantial person at all. The I think is just a unification. It's just an
So,
act of unification of the manifold.
wouldn't you still have to exist to think?
No, Kant thinks you don't have to. Um,
Yeah, I don't. I mean, maybe, but I don't. I don't understand that. I don't. I mean,
Well, that's sort of what I was getting at last time. I was saying like what really like do the categories not exist then and like and does the understanding not exist if it doesn't? But I guess maybe it's I don't Kant is using exist in a very like empirical like way here. Um which
I,
it
I
which
just
which makes sense for answering Descartes because Descartes is concerned about like do I exist like empirical like do I exist at all like and he was sort of referring to his like empirical self, right? And he was trying to distinguish between the mind and the body and I mean ultimately he thinks it's his mind and body like are different, but Kant would say that even if it's not like embodied per se, like it's still empirical because it's time is an intuition and the inner sense of self that you're talking about is a different part of you than the one that thinks.
yeah. I
And
mean,
existence for Kant happens, right? We were just going over it last time when something is determined in time in accordance with the analogies of experience, which is not the case with the subject. The subject is not um, it's not really like anything like substantial or causal or simultaneous as far as I can tell. It's just sort of like a sense of self. It's a feeling essentially. It's not really something like perceptible or doesn't really follow in any analogies of experience. So sorry, go ahead. Were you gonna say something though? I think you might be muted.
sorry. I
It's
was
okay.
speaking and then I forgot I was muted. Okay. Oh, I'll start again.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, interrupting. I was just I had something to interject about like
Yeah, go ahead.
Descartes. He's was that
I said go ahead. Sorry.
um Descartes basically. I think I agree that Kant is correct to say there that like just because you like existence and thinking are not necessarily the same thing, but like I could see existence without thought, but I can't think of thought without existence. Does that make sense? Like either
Well, it
way,
depends on what you mean by like exist. Kant is taking it to be a very like empirical thing, a very perception thing. He's almost being like an empiricist in that way, right? Um, and yeah, I don't really know. Like, it's sort of like I think on some level he does think like the I think like quote unquote exists, but it's only in a transcendental like metaphysical sense in terms of like it's more of like a logical function. It's almost like a verb. Like it's the I think. There's never just it's not like ficta, right? There's not just an I. It's always I think. So it's like a verb. It's like an action. Um
yeah,
so and you can't really I mean the I there's a sense of I think just because of like recognizing the subject object dichotomy. And but again like that I don't know. We'll have to explore more. I think about it. We could. I in this actually in this is a good point to bring up too. In this Kant study so far, we've only been covering the B edition. And originally my intention for that was for like clarity's sake because the B edition is much more edited and there's just a lot more like content, and it's broken up better into more sections. Presumably more comprehensible, and there were many problems Kant had with the first edition. So my original intention with this was to go just with the B edition. However, since we've started that. I've discovered that through reading the A edition and just learning about it in classes and things like that, there's actually a lot of material and questions Kant answers that he just doesn't repeat, unfortunately, in the B edition. And a lot of it, one of those things has a lot to do with this. It pertains a lot to this conversation that we're having now about like the nature of the I and the I think. That was found a lot more in the A deduction than in the B deduction. So I think that when we finish going through the critique, primarily through the B edition, I think it would be good to revisit those A edition, and especially like with the knowledge we have, we should really be able to fly through it. So I might just put a pin in this for now because this is a really good conversation, and I see what you're saying, Kirk, and I agree that it's kind of because it's like if it doesn't exist in any sense, then how does it even work, right? So yeah, I agree. Like, how is it being put into play at all? I think Kant might cover that more in the A edition of the deduction, so we can probably review that on our own, maybe like during the stream tonight, and also like we'll go back and constantly cover it. So great questions, great thoughts. For the interest of time, I think we can move on unless you have any like other questions not related to that.
That's about all.
Okay, cool. But yeah, great thoughts. Thank you. Okay, and that's just Descartes, right? Now we're going on to the latter is the dogmatic idealism of Berkeley, who declares space, together with all the things to which it is attached, is an inseparable condition to be something that is impossible in itself, and who therefore also declares things in space to be merely imaginary. Okay, to my understanding, Patrick has issue with how Berkeley's represented here. And there's a endnote, so let me go to endnote 84 and see if I can find anything that the translators might be able to tell us just in general about this, but I wonder if they would like pick up on what Pat was saying here. So 84, let's see, okay. Kant already made this distinction between problematic and it's just saying he makes this distinction between pragmatic and dogmatic idealism. In a later work. Okay, so let's move on. Dogmatic idealism is unavoidable if one regards space as a property that is to pertain to things in themselves. For then, along with everything for which it serves as a condition, is a non-entity. Let's see. One regards space as a property that is to pertain to the things in themselves, for then it, along with... Oh, I see, yeah. So this is like, yeah. Again, it's really similar, at least to like my reading of like the Cartesian demon, right? If space is merely a property to the thing in itself, which presumably this demon, right, in his meditations has access to, and that he's keeping from us, then space is just and everything else is a non-entity, right? That's kind of what Descartes' concerned. He's like, do I exist? Like, am I an entity? Are things around me? I mean, I'm reframing this in Kant's language here in terms of entity, but seems to be Descartes' concern. So, yeah, if space is only a property that pertain to things themselves, then that's no good. Everything is a non-entity in it, and itself is a non-entity. Descartes' worry, right? His anxiety. Anyway, so let's move on. The ground for this idealism, however, has been undercut by us in the transcendental aesthetic. Problematic idealism, which does not assert anything about this, but rather professes only our incapacity for proving an existence outside us from our own by means of immediate experience, is rational and appropriate for a thorough philosophical manner of thought, allowing, namely, no decisive judgment until sufficient proof has been found. The proof that is demanded must therefore establish that we have experience and not merely imagination of outer things, which cannot be accomplished unless one can prove that even our inner experience, undoubted by Descartes, is possible only under the presupposition of outer experience. I see. So Kant is saying that we have solved Descartes' problem. Descartes is setting up a situation, a philosophical situation, an epistemological situation, I suppose you could call it, where he's saying we can't prove outer experience until we prove inner experience. Or no, no, wait, I'm sorry. Inner experience is possible only under the presupposition of outer experience. So I think he's saying that. Hold on. The proof is that there's demand. It must therefore establish we have experience and not merely imagination of outer things. We can prove outer experience is possible only under the. Hold on. He's like going outer, inner, outer, and hold on. I just need to see like what he's saying here. The proof that is demanded must therefore establish that we have experience. And not okay. The first part makes total sense to me, right? Descartes is looking to prove that we have experience, outer as well as inner, right? But especially the outer world, he's very concerned about, right? Uh, that we have, and not just imagination, right? He's like, what if I'm just dreaming, right? This is the classic an analytic philosophy, right? This is like the what they call the dream machine or something, right? It's like, what if we're just imagining, right? What if everything's a dream? Um, how can we prove they have actual experience, not merely imagination? Uh, which cannot be accomplished unless one can prove that even our inner experience, undoubted by Descartes, is possible only under the presupposition of outer experience. So I guess he's saying that he thinks that for Descartes, what we need to do is prove that our inner experience is possible only under outer experience, and therefore outer experience wouldn't be an image. I don't know. This seems very circular and confusing. Uh, let's see what this says. The mere but empirically determined consciousness of my own existence proves the existence. Okay, so I guess he just wants to get into Descartes. It's a little confusing, the wording. Um, let's see what he says earlier. Actually, maybe that would help. Problematic idealism, right? So Cartesianism does not assert anything about this. Rather, only professes our incapacity for proving existence from outside of us, from by our own means of immediate experience. Rational, for thorough philosophical manner of thought. So, um, he's calling it like rational and appropriate for a thorough philosophical manner of thought. So it sounds. I don't know what Kant is saying here. It like he's clearly disagreeing with Descartes, but it, like I don't know exactly how. So I have a feeling it'll tell us here. Oh my God, this is a long proof. Well, it has lots of notes. I guess maybe that's why. Oh my God. Oh. Oh wait, I thought it was all just one proof. Okay, maybe not. Because there are three dots. I'm just trying to like plan out how much I want. I don't really do that before, so we have some time. So I guess let's start with this theorem and proof and see how far we get. The mere but empirically determined consciousness of my own existence. Kirk, are you able to read, or can you just not see what I'm sharing still?
I can read. The reason I couldn't read earlier was because I was eating something.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Are you okay to read, or you
Yeah,
don't
I'm
have to?
okay to read.
Okay. Do you want to read?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So you want me to start at the mirror?
Yeah, the theorem, and then you can start reading the proof as well, up to like note one, I
Okay.
think. Thanks.
So, theorem: the mere but empirically determined consciousness of my own existence proves the existence of objects in space outside me. Proof: I am conscious of my existence as determined in time. All time determination presupposes something persistent in perception. This persistent thing, however, cannot be something in me, since my own existence in time can first be determined only through this persistent thing. Thus, the perception of this persistent thing is possible only through a thing outside me and not through the mere representation of a thing outside me. Consequently, the determination of existence in time is possible only by means of the existence of actual things that I perceive outside myself. Now, consciousness in time is necessarily combined with the consciousness of the possibility of this time determination. Therefore, it is also necessarily combined with the existence of things outside me as a condition of time determination, i.e., the consciousness of my own existence is at the same time immediate consciousness of the existence of other things outside me.
Okay.
No, what?
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, we'll pick up there. Let's just break this down. Um, what is this? What is this star referring to? Is that something in here? Or oh no, that's down there. Okay, so we'll get there. Okay, so let's breaking this down. Theorem: the mere but empirically determined consciousness of my own existence proves the. Uh, um, okay, so empirical consciousness, right, of my own existence proves the existence of objects in space outside me. That's a theorem. How is he going to prove it? I am conscious of my existence as determined in time. Perfect. Um, See the aesthetic, I guess. All time determination presupposes something persistent in perception. See the analogies of experience for that. This persistent thing, however, cannot be something in me, since my own existence in time can first be determined only through this persistent thing. Uh, Thus, the perception of this persistent thing is possible only through a thing outside me. It cannot be a mere representation thing outside me. I think what he's trying to do here is take up Descartes and like maybe disprove this, um, because I don't think he believes this at all. At least from what he's told us about like the aesthetic and like specifically like where was it? Uh, this line right here. Uh, my own existence time could first be determined only through this persistent thing, persistent in perception. So I think that kind of contradicts what he was saying about just inner sense, inner form, the aesthetic. But anyway, so let's keep going. Thus, the perception of this persistent thing is possible only through a thing outside of me, not through the mere representation of a thing outside me. I don't understand how he's getting there. But okay, consequently, the determination of my existence in time is only possible by means of the existence of actual things that I perceive outside myself. I think you just, yeah, it seems to be Descartes, excuse me. Right, because this was Descartes' worry. Uh, not just mere representation, but it can only be proved the existence through an actual thing outside me. Um, I don't know. This is really weird so far, but okay. I think he's like probably taking up Descartes' position to like reductio ad absurdum or something. Okay, now consciousness in time is necessarily combined with the consciousness of the possibility of this time determination. Consciousness in time, isn't this? Okay. Therefore, it is also necessarily combined with the existence of things outside of me. As the condition of time determination, i.e., the consciousness of my own existence, is at the same time an immediate consciousness of the existence of other things outside me. Okay. Very confusing. This is kind of just saying that like inner existence is supposed on something outer, but that outer actually has to exist. It can't just be a representation, which I don't understand, but especially given Kant's own persistence on the. It's hard to tell if he's being Kant or Descartes here. So let's just go to the note, and I'll see if I can make more sense of this. Note one will realize that in the preceding proof, the game that idealism plays has with greater justice has been turned against it. Okay, idealism assumed that the only immediate experience is inner experience, and that from outer things only be inferred. But as in any case in which one infers from given effects to determinate causes, only unreliably, since the cause of the representations that we perhaps falsely ascribe to outer things can also lie in us. Yet here it is proved that outer existence is not really immediate. Let's see. The immediate consciousness of the existence of outer things is not presupposed but proved in the preceding theorem, whether we have insight into the possibility of his consciousness or not. The question about the latter would be whether we only have an inner sense but no outer one, but merely outer imagination. But it is clear that in order for us to even imagine something as external, i.e., to exhibit it to sense and intuition, we must already have an outer sense. And by means, this means immediately distinguish the mere receptivity of an outer intuition from the spontaneity that characterizes every imagining. For even merely to imagine an outer sense would itself annihilate the faculty of intuition, which is to be determined through the imagination. So I guess Kant is saying here in this footnote that um, outer experience is immediate. It doesn't really need to be proved because to even think of it as just an imagination, well, how do you imagine something outside of you? Through outer intuition. So it just doesn't really make logical sense, I guess, to assume that outer existence isn't really real, or just is imagination as opposed to not. um, okay, yeah, here it's proved that our outer experience is really immediate. That only by means of it is possible not, to be sure, the consciousness of our own existence, but its determination in time, i.e., in our experience. Of course, the representation I am, which expresses the consciousness that can accompany all thinking, is that which immediately includes the existence of a subject in itself, but not yet any cognition of it, thus not an empirical cognition, i.e., experience. For to that there belongs, besides the thought of something existing, intuition, and in this case inner intuition, i.e., time, in regard to which the subject must be determined, for which outer objects are absolutely requisite, so that inner experience itself is consequently only immediate and possible only through outer experience. God, what the fuck is he saying? I was doing pretty good, I think, leading these Kant studies in Pat's absence, but this is bewildering me. Um, so I'm gonna check this end note to see if we can get to something, and if not meaningful, and if not, I might just call it and try to read about this externally because this is making very little sense, and we're almost at 40 minutes. So let's check this end note 85. I am I am pretty damn bewildered. I don't really know if he's. I guess at this point it's kind of clear he's not impersonating Descartes, but I don't know what the hell he's talking about, like inner and outer being like necessary, when before he was pretty keen on separating them, at least from how it seemed to be reading. Okay, let's check this end note 85. Oh, it just says see also another writing. The draft of an essay called An Answer to the Question it is it an experience that we think? Okay. Um, okay, I might go see those and some other sources because this is confusing the hell out of me. I don't really have any good things for this. Kirk, do you have any insights or comments or questions?
Not really.
Okay. Are you also confused?
Uh, yeah, this was huh. I mean,
So true.
I'm trying to understand, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think I just might need to come back to this, but we got a lot out of this paragraph at least. This was good. Um,
Presupposition.
I'm just reading this
Yeah,
again. Problematic idealism. Like he's calling Descartes problematic, and then he's explaining that Descartes is rational and says no decisive. Oh, okay. I mean, this doesn't help me understand the proof itself because this is just really confusing me. But at least I think I understand what he's doing with Descartes here. Descartes is saying, right? We can't really trust out. I mean, again, that he's not really does. Kant doesn't really seem to be entertaining at all. Uh, Descartes' supposed proof of the reliability of the external world based on God's existence. He does seem to be entertaining though, like the doubt, right? He's calling it rational and appropriate, but Descartes doesn't really come up with a proof until that circular God thing that he's not isn't really entertaining. So he's kind of taking Descartes before that, right? And he's saying, okay, he did have a rational doubt, and we needed a sufficient proof that we have experience in our imagination of outer things, which can't be proved unless we prove our inner experience is possible only under the presup. Okay, so outer
It's
existence is necessarily.
presupposition.
So he's saying we have to prove outer experience is required for inner experience.
But he's saying presupposition, which is not proof necessarily.
Well, he's saying okay, yeah. So he's saying that the
Or you're
proof.
breaking up on my end.
Oh, sorry. He's saying that the proof. We have to prove that we have experience of outer things. Um, by showing that our inner. Oh, I see. Okay. So inner experience, right? Totally true. Descartes is taking that to be true. Kant is taking that to be true, right? The like I am, right? Descartes doesn't doubt that, right? He thinks that's the indubitable truth. Kant also thinks that because we have inner sense, that is true, right? So we know inner sense is true. So if we can prove that inner sense, right, something true depends on outer sense, then we can prove that outer sense is something real and not just imagination. Because the already true thing that we know of inner experience is dependent on outer experience. And I guess Kant isn't really entertaining the idea that something true could arise out of something that's false. Um, Shout out Hegel. I have no idea what. No, I mean Hegel would probably agree. The inner and the outer are. Well, they would probably say they're equally presuppose each other. But anyway, that's a whole can of worms. So, okay, can I understand this proof better now? Let's see. I'm conscious. I just might like stare at this for a bit and like read it in my head. You know what's confusing me? I think he's misusing his own words. That this could be another instance of that. This isn't the first time, at least that we think this has happened. Uh, Kant is saying that through a thing outside of me, not merely the mere representation outside of me. And this is totally fucking with me because Kant has made a whole deal, right? Whole multiple like instances of the ordeal that so far in the critique that right we don't have access to things in themselves. Um, like right at least in like experience, right? We don't have access to experience is not made up of things, they're made up of representations. But now he's saying the persistent thing is only possible through a thing outside of me, not through mere representation. However, it should be possible through representation. Because representation is what we're dealing with and not things. But I think he's taking it as opposed to uh imagination versus wait, hold on, where is it up here? He has it up here now, the wording. Uh yeah, that we have experience and not merely imagination. So I think that's what he's meaning here. Like is possible through a representation outside me, but not through mere imagination of a thing. I feel like that's what he should be saying. Okay, so if he's consequently that's possible only by means of the existence of consciousness. And then what the hell is this part? Consciousness in time is necessarily combined with the consciousness of the possible. It's time determination. I can't make sense of this. I think I'm gonna have to look into this more. This is just the way he's wording this is so fucking confusing. How do two consciousnesses combine? This is sounding like Hegel out of nowhere. I think it's just semantic. I think I'm gonna like look into it and read about it or ask a professor or something, and it's probably like much more like makes sense if I just understand the words he's using and what they mean. So okay, I think I'm gonna that wording is so confusing. And then I think I'm gonna call it here anyway because we probably are almost at an hour. Yeah, we're at 45 minutes. So that's probably a good place to call it. So we didn't get as far as I would have liked to, but we at least started the refutation of idealism. Um, understand who he's taking issue with, right? Namely Descartes and Berkeley. Um, and respectively, specifically in respect to their problematic and dogmatic idealism. And now we're dealing first with Descartes and his dogmatic idealism, and we have to go into a proof and show him that we can't just doubt the external world, but we can show that the external world is true because it is a presupposition of our inner experience, which is true. And Descartes takes that to be true. So he's kind of working with Descartes on his own ground. He's saying, okay, Descartes, you want to take I think, and the I am? Well, then you got to take the external world. So, and I'm confused how he's doing that, but I'll read and get more the next time. So,
Okay.
okie doke. Thanks for the session, folks. Sorry it wasn't the most productive and it was confusing, but hey, reading Kant, I guess, just be like that sometimes. So, Kantian wisdom of the day. Um, I guess don't be a dogmatic or problematic idealist. I don't know. Not the most insightful session for me. So I guess the Kantian wisdom that I depart upon you all is not going to be that insightful either. So okay, Kirk, anything to end off with?
No, not really.
Alrighty. Well, folks, we'll see you for the continuation of this first proof of the first theorem of the refutation of idealism. So we'll see you then. Thank you. Bye bye.